Alright, in this video I'll be taking out these concrete stairs. I think they're temporary stairs. You can see there is probably a ledger board or space for a ledger board under the sliding glass door there. And you could also see the previous owners tried to break these out, and this is why I'm making the video. Obviously someone tried to do this before and failed. You can see that it looks like they punched a hole with a sledgehammer up top, and it looks like they knocked the corner off and then they gave up and they put a deck over top of this thing. So you can also see that there's some steel in there, so reinforced concrete is going to be harder to break up than if it was just straight concrete with no metal in there, but I don't think they make stairs without metal. So just be advised, if you're trying to remove stairs like this, they probably have some steel inside, rebar or metal of some sort. For this I got some Ear Pro, I got Eye Pro, and I do have a dust mask, so obviously you don't want to breathe in a bunch of concrete dust, and I am going to use a grinder for a little bit of this. The grinder does make it easier to break up the concrete stairs than just smashing it with a hammer. Part of it's because you can cut the steel, and then part of it's just because you can put a line through the concrete and it'll just break up on that line a lot more easily. So I did get 2 discs. One is obviously the metal cutter, and then one is a concrete cutter. That's all I needed. And quite honestly, even the concrete one does cut through the thinner steel, but it might not cut through the thicker rebar, which is sort of a little bit later in the video. I'll show that, how they actually fix these things to the side of the house. So you can see these stairs are gross, they look terrible, and they've also sunken in the front, so they're no bueno. They can't be salvaged for any purpose, so I'm just going to get rid of them. And like I said, I'm going to get on the side of this thing first with the grinder, and I'm just going to cut a line straight up the side of it, and I sort of just eyeball it where I think I could pick up the chunks. Once that line's cut into the side of the stairs, I just take the sledgehammer, and I don't really go crazy on it. And you can see it broke up right up along that line that I cut. I didn't cut it all the way through. I cut it maybe halfway through the concrete, and that made it a lot easier to hit with the hammer. And just with the sliding glass door right beside where I'm working, I felt it would be better to not have to really pound on the stairs with the hammer, and that actually taking the grinder would be a better call. And then as you can see, there's also a chunk of rebar. I don't really think this side's even holding the stairs to the wall like it should be. I think they're just sort of free floating, or they were just free floating, whereas the other side is sort of held to the wall. But it doesn't matter because the front sunk in so much. It's probably down about 3 inches overall, so it's really just not salvageable. And again, I just go at it with this grinder and I start coming across the top. Obviously the video is sped up significantly, and then once I break off the corner, the whole stair drops a couple of inches. And as I break it up with the sledgehammer, the stairs are slowly dropping back. So you do need to be careful if you're breaking up a staircase, because obviously once you start breaking it up, you're going to lose a lot of the stability. So you don't want your toes underneath that concrete staircase or anywhere near it when you start breaking it up, because it will eventually become unstable. And then once I've got the back end of this thing cut off, I just give it a few more smacks with the hammer. I find that the risers of the stairs are probably the easiest portion to break off. 2 or 3 hits with the hammer. I don't even go at it with the angle grinder, just because the risers, I don't really think there's any metal in there, so they just broke apart very easily, and that might be a good weakness to attack on a staircase. And really that's it. I found this process was a lot easier than I thought. When I saw that the previous owners had attempted and failed at this task, I thought maybe it was going to be a little harder, but it wasn't too bad. I do recommend having the angle grinder just because you can cut up the metal a lot easier, and if you have full-size chunks of rebar in there, it'll be a lot easier to cut off. You're not going to be able to do that with side cutters or something like that. So the angle grinder definitely helps. And then obviously I removed everything from the wall, hosed it down with some water because it was pretty hot, and then later in the day I come back with some silicone and fill up those holes. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.